Oh, I cannot hide this thing. Okay, it will be here. All right, thanks everyone for joining. So I've been a fractional CTO for a while, and I've been asked like a lot of time of like what I do and how I became one. So I decided to like close this conversation like once and forever, and organize one or maybe a series of meetups on like what fractional CTO is doing and like how to become one, what are the responsibilities, what are best practices for doing that. So before we start, I wanted to give you a little bit of a disclaimer. I have quite weird presentation style. Um, so I use, some people like mumble, some are like speaking too quietly, and I have a different thing. I use a lot of memes in my presentation. Um, some people like it, some don't. I find it a good way to, explain some complex ideas in easier way. So I don't know, just be prepared for that. And as a disclaimer, I almost got fired from one of my engagement as a fractional CTO when I was doing a presentation and I showed my board of directors this meme. So we had to implement like AI in our company, and it wasn't really fitting the company. So I started the presentation with this slide, and yeah, they haven't been too happy. They asked like why our company is like leaking, and I was like, well, it's just like a meme. And they've been like, then why did you use this meme? And I was like, well, that's just a meme. Like, what do you want?
I'm
So,
curious, was it Germans?
hmm?
I'm curious, was the company German?
um, no, it was like American startup who wanted to do like chatting with AI. Um, so, and I'm also not disclosing names, so not doing that. Um, all right, let me introduce myself a little bit. So I've been a developer for already like 6 years, and about 4 years back, I started doing startups. Um, and in that time, I've been fractional like a CTO, just a CTO for 2 years, and then past 2 years, I've been fractional CTO and also doing my startups. I've worked with quite a bit of companies. I think the most notable one is Techstars. I had a startup that went through Techstars, and I've been a CTO there. I also, my biggest client right now is Cryptonary. We work already for like 2 years. I help them to build a team and build the product from scratch. I also help to build a few other products, Boom Journal, Join, Whoopty, its company recently sold, Scrimmage, Jealous, it's Ukrainian startup, and Self Degrees, that's a startup I'm doing right now. So I had a bit of an experience. So that's my point of view on being fractional CTO, mostly from a perspective of being fractional CTO for startups. I haven't worked with like Fortune 500 companies. So if you talk about, I don't know, companies with thousands of employees, um, I think fractional CTO principles are quite universal for all of them, but it may be a little different approach for bigger companies. So it's just not my specialization. I'm more on like helping startups. And today we're going to talk about like a few things. So first, I wanted to discuss what it takes to be fractional CTO, like what background you need to have, what knowledge you need to have to even start in that sphere. Then I wanted to discuss a few archetypes of fractional CTOs because there is quite different styles for doing that. And a process. So there will be four archetypes of being fractional CTO, and one of them is being Gordon Ramsay. So it's kind of my style. So I will describe in details what I do, what's my process for that. I will also share with you some tips on how to organize health check for a startup. I have like a list of things when I come to a new company. I always check them out, like, hey, this is what you need to have, and also share with you some tips on how to land first client. I think I heard it either was someone joining and someone was raising a hand. I think it was hand or something. If you need to ask a question or something, just like unmute and feel free to talk. I will be making pauses from time to time in a presentation. We will have like after every of this block, we will have like a few minutes where we can discuss something. So if you can hold your question till that time, it would be perfect. But if something is like critical or like that, feel free to talk straight away. Right, let's come back. Right. So we start from a readiness checklist, and don't get scared from a lot of text here because we will dive deeper into every of those points later on. But important thing to understand is that fractional CTO is actually like a quite technical person. When someone is hiring you, they expect you to be technical and direct them into the right way of doing things, of coding or like doing architecture. So there are some hard skill requirements, like you really need to be technical. You need to know how to do code review because you would need to do quite a few of them. And you need to generally understand how startup work or companies works, not just in terms of coding, but you kind of need to go a little bit beyond in terms of knowing product, project management, etc. Because a lot of companies struggle with that. They can hire engineers, but then they just totally forget that there is such thing as product management. And you need to tell them that, well, you may need to hire a product manager. For soft skills, yeah, there's also quite a few requirements because you work with people, and your main value is coming from explaining ideas, explaining decisions, and helping someone to figure out complex situations. You shouldn't be afraid of confronting people. That's something I personally was struggling with. Like it's hard for me to like come and say someone like, the thing you're doing is not exactly the right way of doing that. So yeah. Um, you need to be having a strong research abilities because you would need to work with industries you have no idea about. As a technical person, you know your thing, but sometimes you would need to do like a construction project. So you would need to figure out what is construction, what are the laws around it. So doing research is quite important. And understanding of system thinking also important because fractional CTO, you need to apply some small patches all around the company to fix the whole system. So understanding that is important. And then experience part, it really would be great if you've been a part of multiple IT teams because you would know different ways of how different teams solve problems. It's really easy to get into this like a feeling that everything, like there is always a right way of doing things, but in reality there is no right way of doing things. It just depends on a company and on a product. And also having startup experience is important even if you target big clients. Very often fractional CTOs are getting hired for like a smaller projects inside of a big product. So if you consider this project being like a startup and you run it like that, it's really really efficient. So yeah, I hope so. I hope your face right now doesn't look something like that because you was joining to like maybe become fractional CTO, but then you've seen these requirements and you're like, uh, like a lot of things. It's really not that much of a things, and like a being fractional CTO is a little bit of a different job from being just an engineer. So it's like becoming a product manager. Your technical background would help you in product management or project management, but it's still different. You need to do different things. So it's not that crucial, all of those things that I showed in a previous slide. Before we move forward, I also wanted to discuss like CEO who doesn't know how to structure a team. So you may need to advise him on which roles is he missing, or like which roles overhired, etc. So there will be like two slides about it. This like the first slide, and in every company we're gonna have stakeholders who are usually like owners or people who own some shares. Sometimes they can be CEOs, sometimes it's just a board of directors, but someone who set general objective of where is a project going, what is the vision of a company, and like what are we doing. You would need to communicate with them the most, so you really need to understand those people and speak in simple language with them. We have product owners. They kind of responsible product owners, product managers. Those are people who also communicate with stakeholders, and they usually translate their vague ideas or visions into more practical projects. And product owners themselves, they also communicate with delivery managers who so I'm not accustomed working with teams who have delivery managers. Usually my teams have only project managers. Delivery manager is like a more high level of a project manager who is responsible for alignment between different departments, and also risk monitoring and working with a bunch of project managers to deliver a bigger product. Project managers, people who just manage a work. They sometimes do Jira, Mirror, anything. They also explain requirements to developers and to other like team members who do actual job. Account managers are the ones who work with clients, so they help them do onboarding, answer their questions. You always will have some kind of support team in your organization, so those are them. Business analytics are the guy who they also talk to stakeholders, and they help to translate some of the requirements into more business, like into more practical things. Like for example, CEO can say, all right, we want to implement AI, and then business analytic would try to understand how we can fit it into the business, like what will be the revenue, what will be the expenses there, what is the scope of work required. So business analytics. Business owners, it's kind of like a this Scrum owners, I believe, in Agile. So those are the guys who also communicate with stakeholders and oversee product development. Developers themselves who write the code, with them you will be working the most. DevOps engineers, the one who deploy the code. They are responsible for like optimization of workflows and we have software architects who architect the solution. So they work closely with developers to create maybe diagrams, maybe just some kind of interfaces that define how systems should work to make it like scalable, extendable, and supportable. UI UX designers, quite a lot of teams I've been working with have been missing those guys. I don't know why, but a lot of non-technical founders assume that developers can do UI UX, but like not really. Those are people who like write interfaces. Um, Domain experts, if you go into, for example, education field and your CEO is not in education, you would need to hire a domain expert or work with domain experts who can explain specifics of this industry. And then QA department, so it's segregated into like QA lead, manual QA, and QA automation. That's like a quite big of a QA department, but QA lead oversees general QA practices, manual QA tests everything manually, and QA automation writes automation tests. So I was trying to put fractional CTO somewhere in there. The problem is that fractional CTOs, they like join product not for too long period. So when you join, your responsibilities are kind of here. Like you may need to work with all of those people, because coming back, it's about system. It's about coming into project and understanding what is wrong with the system, what may be broken. So you kind of need to connect with all of those people before you start your decision making. And fractional CTO generally is responsible for four things, in my view. It's team strategy, product quality, process efficiency, And most important is decision making. That's what client needs most help with. They need to decide whom to hire, how much people to hire, in which way to structure architecture, how to organize processes, and all of those macro and micro decisions are important. So you need to improve that decision making for owners of the company. Um, the most important quality of being fractional CTO, I would say, is having a high agency. I don't know how much of you is familiar with like a concept of agency. When I say agency, I don't talk about like a software agency or like a group of people. I talk more about control over decisions. So this is like a visualization of what high agency looks like. In A, we have like a person who have some kind of wood, and he doesn't understand what to do with that, and he just writes help and wait for someone to help him with that to figure out the direction. A B person just uses that wood to build a plot and try to do something. So having high agency is important because no one is given, as a fractional CTO, you are expected to create projects. You will not have exact directions and you need to figure out what to do because business owners usually don't know themselves what to do. Sometimes you need to make more decisions than business owners. You need to, and there cannot be answer from you like, I don't know how to do that. You always need to be able to figure out how to do things because management will rely on you, team members will rely on you, and you just cannot say, I don't know. So yeah, don't be this guy coming into team and being like once again asking where is the specification. No one will give you specification. And here we have a chart that kind of explains like like on Y we have agency and on X we have talent, and how if we combine those two things, who we get, how would you feel if you have, for example, low agency but you are really talented. I would like replace word talent with experience. They are like exchangeable, so you are like really experienced but you have low agency. In this way you will be like a frustrated genius. You feel like you know a lot of things but you do not fulfill your potential because maybe you are afraid of making decisions, maybe you don't want to take that next step, maybe you don't have enough energy to like push the project ahead or initiate something, or you just get stuck and you require some kind of direction from other members of the team or like a company management. So this is like a trap of having really high expertise but low agency. You can also have low expertise and high agency. Um, this is okay for fractional CTO. Those are usually people who are very ambitious. They have high energy. They can talk. They can initialize things. But when it time comes to preparing some kind of architecture or maybe advising some of the team members, they may not be able to handle it completely. However, with nowadays technologies and AI, these people are really on edge, I would say. So if you're here, if you don't have enough expertise, but you still have high agency, you still potentially can be fractional CTO and even good one. And then if you have high agency and high talent, that's you are in. That's where you need to be. Right. Now we're going to talk about making decisions because I think that the most important part of a job to make right decisions and to apply right processes of making those decisions. Very often companies don't standardize it. They just like, all right, we want to do that. So let's just apply the first idea we have, use the first product we found, and just do it. So when you come, you may notice some of those bad decisions and may say, hey, all right, for the next decision we make, let's apply more structured process to that. So you take over this decision making process and just do it yourself, like show the company how to do it. The first step is, and we will go through each of these steps because this is really like a structured process. So first one is understanding the problem. I will share with you just a few frameworks that can help you to, like, you can dive deeper into every of these things after the meetup. I will not dive too deep into this, but my goal here is to share with you some of the keywords which you can use to learn more about it. So when it comes to identifying problems, it's really important to learn some basics of system thinking and have like understanding of what are like mental model is, what are the patterns. You need to be able to understand trends inside of the company. You need to be able to understand that if some employee is performing bad, it's not necessarily that employee is bad. Maybe there is some problem in HR department. Maybe he's feeling underappreciated, or maybe there is a conflict with a team leader. Maybe he's getting too strict of a code review or something. So you need to be aware of systems and think in terms of that. The next one is about goals. And you can't imagine how many times I've been in this position where I come to the owner of a company and they've been like, so you know Apple, and I want us to be like Apple. And then there is an inspiring talk about Apple culture and all of that, and I'm staying there and being like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's not like being like Apple. That's a great vision, but it's not a great goal. So when we set goals for some project or for some decision, you would hear a lot of things like that from owners, but then you need to help them to come to more smart goals. This is also a popular framework. Probably you heard about it. It's smart goal setting. So when you set some kind of goals for a project, it has to be like more specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So being Apple, it's not right goal, but something like we wanna achieve 80% customer satisfaction on our AI release in the next I don't know 6 months. That's a smart goal. That's you can go far with that. So after we choose a goal for our decision or a project, we go to generating alternatives. That's where I spend a lot of time because there are some obvious things of doing projects and there are some more innovative or interesting things of doing them. As a fractional CTO, you usually want to be, oh, this is like a market, a chart of market adoption of different technologies. And as a fractional CTO, you want to be here. You want to be early adopter. It doesn't mean that you need to, be aware, like implement all of the new frameworks which are there. Like Svelte is released and you're like, all right, we are doing Svelte. Or like some new AI tool is released and you're like, we are trying it. I'm not saying that you can be more conservative, but you need to be aware of them because that's what leadership would expect. Like you would need to be up to date with these technologies. And thanks to that, you can do a better research because you are aware of a broader market. And when it comes to research, there is a lot of ways of doing that. The easiest one is to like Google things. You can also ask ChatGPT. You can do Reddit. Reddit is really good. There is also G2. It's for software products. G2 is a great resource for finding like reviews for some of the SaaS tools your company considers using. You can also ask friend, which actually is the best way because if they had an experience of implementing some of the things you had implemented in past, that's great because then you can come to your CEO and say, hey, had a connection, who been doing it, and he suggests us to do XYZ. And that argument would be valued much more if you just come and say, hey, I asked ChatGPT and here is a like reply. So having a broad network of people who, I don't know, other fractional CTOs or just engineers is kind of important when it comes to brainstorming different ways of solving problems or making decisions. For me personally, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I don't know, so here is my like chart since 2017. Every day I spend like 1 hour or more watching YouTube on different topics I'm currently interested in. Sometimes it's news, sometimes it's reviews of new technologies. Um, yeah, in past, I don't know, 80 years, I watched 42,000 videos. Most of them are like educational, informational. Um, by the way, YouTube doesn't give this statistic, but I was really curious about it, so I've built a tool for this. It's you can upload, you can like download your YouTube history and then just see like a chart of like what are the channels you watch the most, what are the topics you watch the most. So if you want, it's public, so you can check it out. It's also all happening in browser, so your data is not getting saved anywhere there. A fourth step is evaluate options. This is also a step that a lot of people skip, but every option you come up with, let's say you wanna build like a blogging platform, and you need to choose a technology to build it with. Maybe, I don't know, WordPress, maybe some kind of no-code tool, or maybe Next.js. Um, as a technology person and as a most of software developers, you would choose a way that is like, well, let's just build it with code. Like, what are we doing here? We are coding. Um, that's not right, because sometimes it's not what company management wants. Maybe sometimes they want to move faster. So instead of making that decision yourself and just saying them, all right, we are doing this, the best way is to give them a SWOT analysis of, hey, here are the options, here are the opportunities and weaknesses of every of those options. If you do this is gonna impress company management a lot and already improve decision-making process by like, I don't know, 90% or something, because again, most of developers don't do it. So when you join a team with just developers, this is a process which you need to introduce. A fifth step is always talk to stakeholders. It's CEO, SCMO, like different chiefs, and you need to speak in their language. This is also something developers usually struggle with. If they need to explain what is the difference between different technologies, or what is the complexity of integrating like something, may be hard for them. So this should be your superpower as a fractional CTO, to be able to take some complex topic and explain it in simple words to management. Sometimes you may need to make presentations, and I can't say that I have some like specific tips on making presentations, but just use simple language for doing that. And be prepared. Management likes, board of director and investors love when you come with presentation and being like, all right, guys, I researched this. Here is what I think problem is, and here is how we can solve it. Here is different options for solving it. So making presentation as a fractional CTO, you need to do it all the time. I think every month I have some different presentation for like Cryptonary, when we implement, when it comes to like a roadmap reevaluation. So when we plan new features for next I don't know, quarter or a month, I usually have some kind of presentation, because I wanna push some of my ideas further. And so next one is making decisions. Here is again, it all will depend on your SWOT analysis and what you discuss with stakeholders. And this is not a meme, by the way. This is actually how I make decisions. I kind of I explain like, hey, imagine you being in a Forbes article, and so they write about these decisions that we made and how it impacted our company. So what do you want them to write? Do you want them to write that you like outsourced everything, or you like hired an engineer? So like, what is the best way you want it to be written in a Forbes article? So far it works, but it's completely up to you on how you make those decisions, and up to company management as well, of course. So then the last step, we are implementing those decisions, and here you just need to be aware about few things. because that's where you will be the most involved. A lot of companies, they already made a decision. They want to like do something in this specific way, and they want you to come and just make sure that execution is there, that you execute it correctly. So there are four processes that you just need to be aware of, which is design thinking, lean startup, and agile. um, you need to research basics of it. You need to read some books on like how it works, and make sure that when you start executing, everything is there. Like you cannot start executing if you don't have like sprints set up or if you don't have product backlog. Like usually this is a really good practice to do, tested by time. And company owners don't know about that. So it's on you to make sure that all processes are there and initiate all of that. Another thing you would need to do. Oh, yeah. So another thing you would need to do is to work with your developers and set some kind of expectation towards them. I made this mistake a few times of just being like, all right, guys, I trust you. Like, here is the process that we follow. Here is like products that we build in. Here are the designs. Just, do your thing. But then after a few months, you come and look, and maybe not perfect. So sometimes you need to come to the team and from time to time do code reviews at the very least, to not be like this monkey after project ends. And for that, there are two layers for this, so more architectural layer and more code specific layer. So about architecture we will talk little later, but generally you need to make sure that your dev team is aligned and knows about things like scalability, maintainability, that they use right technologies, and that what they build is aligned with business goals. We'll talk about this a little later, so I will not dive too deep here. And then clean code. I don't know. I think every decent software developer heard about this book, this principle. It's like really nice way of coding. So main principles are building code that is readable, testable, extensible, and maintainable. If you haven't read this book, just read it. And if you just come to your team and organize like a meetup on like, hey guys, here is how we need to write code, because your team may be lazy to read a book, management would really appreciate it. I organized a few internal meetups inside of my team where I was explaining like what clean code is and how to use AI effectively. And it really helped, because I was asking them multiple times to like read it themselves, but a few people do. So if you just organize something yourself, like a tech talk, that would work the best. Okay, then we'll talk about fractional CTO archetypes, but for now we can pause, take a breath. I will take a drink. If someone have any questions, feel free to talk or throw them to the chat.
One question, Kev.
Yeah.
What's the average team size and funding stage that you worked with for these examples that you picked up?
So I've worked with two types of companies. One is startups that are just starting, so it's sometimes they're self-funded, sometimes they have pre-seed. On average, it's from 100K to 300K pre-seed. So it's a founder who, or like a group of founders who maybe have some rich parents or some kind of connections that gave them money to build a product, and like they have no idea what tech is and they need to build a tech startup. So they really need assistance with.
Yeah, okay. Understood. Because mostly where I have run into people, founders tend to find CTOs through their network, and there's never rarely the need of fractional CTOs, which is, but this specific example that you mentioned, I think that makes sense. Because they would be reading a lot of books and they would have a lot of high expectations, but no practical experience of building startups, and this would make a big difference. Understood. Thanks.
Yeah. Problem is that if you are like a beginner founder, you're also gonna find a beginner CTO. And that's where this CTO may need a guidance. Like they kind of, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
I think most of the companies that are like startups I've been working in, they didn't have CTO or they've been like actively looking for one. But one of them had CTO. It was just his first experience of being
yeah,
CTO,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
had to teach him. Another type of companies I also worked with, it's like Cryptoner is one of them. Those are companies that are not VC baked, and they have around 1 million yearly recurring revenue. So
Wow.
it's like but they are not technical. So it's like they are not technical companies, but they wanna be technical. Like they wanna develop their platforms. So if they have decent budget, they can spend good money on hiring fractional CTOs because they wanna make sure it's executed right. Um, but they don't know like technologies themselves, so they need assistance with.
Leonardo, you're talking on mute.
Yeah, sorry. First of all, thanks for your sharings, your presentation.
You're
Well,
welcome.
basically, I founded my first company in 2012 as a development company for startups. Basically, a freelance, but with a company infrastructure. And well, I have quite a thoughts because I'm also in the startup. The startup ecosystem in Spain mostly. And two questions here. Basically, what is the average salary of a fractional CTO? Which are the channels to be or to promote yourself as fractional CTO? And yeah, because at the end, well, I'm working remotely since uh, more than 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that sometimes it comes to me, but just to make direct connections.
Io penso, non penso che non era, il number riescono di termino qui. Yes, can you mute yourself?
Yeah, whoever is talking. Okay, all good. Okay, on answering questions. So I would say average salary is $150. I usually charge $100 because I'm like not too experienced. I work only like 2 years as a fractional CTO. So as a beginner, usually charge like around 100 per hour. But later on, it can scale up to 300. But average is 150. Um, and where I find clients, I will talk about it later at the end. But just to briefly mention, for me, the best, the only actually, no, I use two methods. So one is Upwork. I had really great experience with it. I think I'm just good at writing proposals. I write good proposals. I had an article about it. And second one is introductions. So sometimes I meet a lot of people. I like network a lot. So I can talk to some founder and they can suggest me to another founder. I found two clients like that just from personal interest.
Yeah, yeah, because yeah, I'm in the same like you in terms of networking. At the end is personal connections. But yeah, but also sometimes there's some customers and companies that are quite jealous. Maybe did you find some maybe some conflicts in this way?
Uh,
So I mean, just sharing you.
Jealous of what?
Yeah, well, basically about how many times you are involved in the project during the week, the resources resources mean you involving in the project. So at the end, I think it's mostly uh, quite important talking about the contract and the expectations, maybe, right?
I think I'm getting what you say. So usually as a fractional CTO, you are like the right hand of the business owner. So usually everyone else doesn't like you. Like if owner have some kind of partnership with agency, and you're gonna come and start saying him that all right, maybe we get rid of agency and hire our own team. Um, like agency will not be too happy about it. If you're
Yeah,
gonna come and evaluate performance of employees, which you would need to do, they also not gonna be happy about it. So yeah, but you just need to play like play in interest of the company owner, in interest of the company.
yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I had a similar experience last year. I had to fire an agency, and they were not thrilled about it.
Yeah. I also had experience for in one of the agencies. It was agency from Mongolia, but I mean they didn't just aware what they did wrong. I explained them like, hey guys, this is just like they so we've been developing like a video conferencing platform, and they promised to do it in 2 weeks, and they didn't do it. And problem was not even a budget. We've been like, all right, just use all the budget you want, but like just please do it in 2 weeks. So they didn't do it, and they didn't do it in 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks, I just checked what is there, and it like was quite far from being ready. So we just like means they've been guilty of it. So I don't know. Just explain why you are firing them. That's the most important. All right, let's move forward. So now we're gonna have discussion about archetypes of fractional CTOs. Um, you don't have to be expert in everything in all of those archetypes. You can choose which one is most suitable for you. Sometimes you may need to play different archetypes depending on a stage in which your contract is in. Um, and yeah, let's just move forward. So first one is being like a Gordon Ramsay. I don't know if you watched a show Kitchen Nightmares, but this is a really amazing show. Like Kitchen Nightmares, this is great. So basically, this guy, he's like a famous chef. He's having like a Michelin star restaurants, and restaurants that are doing bad, they contact him and ask for help. So this restaurant maybe been operational for 5 years and like it's not profitable. It's about to go out of business, and these restaurants contact him and ask like to come to them and teach them how to do things right. So he comes and he pretends to be a client. He tries their food. He checks their kitchen. He usually finds like some kind of bad thing in the kitchen, like they're preparing food or using microwave. There is a lot of repetitive things, like I don't know, 50% of his show, it's like in 50% of episodes there is someone using microwave, someone is storing products not correctly, which is very similar to what is happening in IT teams as well. And then he finds some kind of drama inside of it, resolves the drama, maybe fires someone, brings a new member. um, then he does like a renovation of a place, teaches staff how to cook correctly, and lets the restaurant go. Like from there, there is usually like a grand opening of a restaurant. People come, they happily eat, and then he leaves the restaurant for themselves. And that's what you often would need to do as a fractional CTO when it comes to shorter term contracts. When someone is in like a fire, some companies like just losing it. They see that there is a lot of bugs. Maybe their team is leaving after 2 months of working. They would need for help for someone like Gordon, for someone who can come, say them brutal, honest truths, um, execute things really like fast and brutally, following some kind of process, and be able to manage crisis when everything is just not in right places. You come and you fix it. This archetype also have weaknesses because this kind of it's not too soft as for the team. Here you need to be really like here that's what we just talked about. Like you need to be you're gonna be enemy of a lot of people because you would need to fire them. You would need to come and tell this is code is just not it's not there. Like let's try to fix it till next week, or we cannot like work with you anymore. And sometimes you would need to do it to company management as well. Like you may need to come to them and say, hey guys, if you're not gonna come to work, your employees also not gonna come to work. If you're gonna not show up to meetings, the whole company is not going to show up to meetings. So you may need to be enemy of company management as well. But here you just adopt the mindset that you need to support customers of this company. Like that's your clients, basically. You need to do what is best for company clients. And this is really a good archetype for early stage startups that just starting or already started and messed up with something, and teams who already like deeply into, I don't know, their backlog is like 600 items. You just need to come and say to them, hey guys, we cannot continue doing new features. We need to like start doing backlog grooming a little bit. There is also a problem with this because like you may be a little bit too harsh. So your CEO or company owner can ask you like, why employees don't listen to me, and sometimes you may need to tell him that like, well, you are just an asshole. You don't listen to them. That's why they don't listen to you. And as a Ramsay archetype, you may need to do that. The next one is Varys. I don't know if much of you watched Game of Thrones, but he was like an advisor of kings, and what really sets him up is that he have a big network and he always kind of know everything. So he comes to a king and he doesn't fight, he doesn't like engage into negotiations. He just advises the king. He knows information that other doesn't. He have a lot of connections that tell him some kind of insider information. So he may come and say, or like you as a fractional CTO may come and say like, hey, this framework is not having a good time. Creator of this framework stopped supporting it, so I really suggest you we switch to some kind of other framework. Or you may also engage in a little bit more political work, because a lot of companies, I worked with two of such companies that are family run, so it's like all management is a part of one family, and every member is trying to pursue different ideas. Like one is into Web3, second is into AI, and there is always conflicts between them. Like, what do we do next? AI or Web3 or refactoring? So this is where Varys archetype can be really good, because you can connect personally with every management member. And let's say you have a big board meeting. So before this board meeting, you will have a separate calls with every management member and try to persuade them upfront that, hey, here is what we really need to do. And then on a big meeting, apparently you are the most powerful person in a room, because you did your homework. You talked upfront to every manager, and now everyone is supporting that. Well, we need to do backlog grooming, for example. So this is really good for companies that have good processes, like things are going good, and they just need to scale. They need to avoid making mistakes. And also it's good when there are complex stakeholder environments, like there is a lot of members that are interested in, that are having personal interests in what the whole company will do next. So you may need to get really political here. I honestly love being Varys. I didn't have much chances to be one. I'm more of a, like a Gordon kind of style, but this is a really good archetype. Um, the disadvantage is that sometimes things that you say may look too political. Like you may want to hire some kind of guy just because he's a cousin of Binance director, and you want to get an integration with a Binance so that they can grow your customer base. like that's a shady thing that Varys could do, and that's like a really like a good thing to do sometimes. Like maybe you really want to hire someone who is someone's cousin because you want to have a partnership. Like that's fine. That's really good. The next one is Yoda. So that archetype is about mentorship. So it's really like less about politics and more about mentoring your team members. So you don't engage into, preparing an architecture yourself or preparing a big presentation, coming with it and being like, hey, here is what we do next. This is like somewhat opposite to what Gordon Ramsay would do. Yoda wouldn't do that. Yoda would talk to members and try to coach them instead so that those members um, learn from you how to do things and then be able to support company in a long term. Um, Sometimes when you join a company as a Ramsey, you organize this quick refactoring of everything. Later on, you want to become Yoda because if you don't, company will get addicted to you. And as a fractional CTO, you kind of successful when company don't need you anymore. So that's why you may need to change companies quite frequently. Um, because ideally you want to grow leadership inside of the company that knows what you know, that can do things that like you've been helping them with. You just come, you guide them, and you go. um, your approach is sometimes too slow and too abstract, so it's not for everyone, not for every company, because sometimes leadership wouldn't appreciate it. Sometimes they maybe have low budget or they just need you to like really come and solve some kind of problem. So if you come and you pretend to be Yoda and you just like establish long-term sustainability and you coach someone, they may fire you because that's not what they expect you to do. um, as an example, like here, it's there's someone invited you and they had expectations that there will be a low budget, and you used all that budget just to do a research, and now they've been like, yo, you used all my budget, and like, what did you do? And you start telling them about culture and about mentorship and about importance of making employees independent. They may not appreciate it. So last one is being Spoke. Spoke is actually quite technical guy, so you have a really deep expertise, and you come and you can be an architect. Like you can like do a research, you can solve problem, come up with great presentation, great architecture, some kind of a few integrations, and say, hey, all right, we wanted to integrate AI. Here is how we do it. Here is what interfaces we're gonna have. Here is whom we would need to. AI models, but you wanna like develop your own AI models maybe. Like you need to be really technical into that field, so you come and solve that super complex problem. In this, to be spoke, you need to be an like a specifically an expert into some specific field. Like I don't know, it can be gamification, it can be like a deep tech, it can be architectural design, LLMs, like something really really like that. um And that's what it's not every Spock like that, but if you talk about Spock from a movie, he's not very understandable to humans, and that's where you may find yourself in if you are an expert, especially if you are a developer. So if you may be less perceptive to some personal problems of employees. So if like someone dog dies, you just like, well, that's a problem. Like you have a work, so just work. I don't understand. We're gonna move to that part, and just a break for a few minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, actually, it's getting late, a little late for me. I'm gonna drop off, but I'd love to kind of get in touch with you and understand how you actually get these contacts. I haven't had good success, so would love to sort of take some sort of pages out of your books, if you will.
It will be so. It will be at the end of presentation. So if you need to leave, I will have a recording. I will share with
Yeah,
everyone,
perfect. Thank you.
so you can just watch the last part, and that's probably will be most valuable for you.
Yeah, right. And love these archetypes. Very, very, very good kind of characters to think about. I think I fit more in between the Yoda and Spock. Trying to figure out. It's a good one. Thank you. And yeah, overall, great presentation. Thanks, man. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right. Um, Regarding Gordon Ramsay process. So he is usually coming in the time where everything is in fire and company owners already realize that they are doing something wrong and they need some kind of assistance. So I have like very specific process which I usually follow here. Like it's 5-step process. So first you become a client, you watch what company is doing, you try to use their product and experience everything from a client perspective. Then you join internal team, you join Slack. It's very important to do first step before second step. You shouldn't see a Slack and internal messages before you experience everything as a client. And second step, you join Slack, you join some internal meetings, you join daily stand-ups, and you just observe. You see what they do. You like write notes, what they do right, what they do wrong. Third step is resolving conflicts. So it's very often that something is going wrong because of conflicts between company management or conflicts between employees of the company or like some conflicts of interests. Like that's very frequent. So before you start your transformation process, you need to resolve conflicts because if you try to implement new processes or do some kind of fixes, if there are unresolved conflicts, it will revert. So it's very important to identify conflicts and resolve them first. Then you do transformation itself. So you analyze what are the weak points, and you, for example, notice that company is not doing daily stand-ups. So there is a low alignment. So you advise them to do that. You notice that they don't fix any of the backlog tasks. So you suggest them to do that. You notice that they don't um, do project requirement documents. Like they just come up with feature, straight to design, straight to development. So you may need to advise them to implement product management practices like doing PRDs. And then the last step is you develop leaders. Like you find some people who are players in a team and who can sustain this mindset of becoming better, and you help them replace you. Like you don't want company to get attached to you, you want to make company successful and sustainable on their own. So that's always the last step, developing leaders, because if you don't and you leave the company, everything will revert again and there will be again a lot of problems. um, and that's often what I see like a frequent problem in companies, especially nowadays, is that clients are drowning, and then revenue is drowning even more. So you need to come and put founder down to earth, because often founder or CEO, they are perceived as bosses, and as employees do not argue with them much, and they just do what founder says, and he may just get too excited. So you need to come and fix that. This can also be with new features. So founder is just not understanding what refactoring is. He doesn't understand that bugs need to be fixed, not like a quick fixes, but as a sustainable solutions. It's very hard as a developer to like negotiate with CEO management of a company that, guys, we need to take a month where we don't do new features, we are not developing anything, we're just doing refactoring. That's literally in every company I join, that's a conversation I have with CEOs, that you've been neglecting backlog for too long. We need to take a break, stop developing new features, and do refactoring, because that's gonna save your company later on. Now, actually, see, we are getting late, so I will go quickly through my process of being Gordon Ramsay. So, first, you need to become a client. Problem there is that management is usually too high to see. They don't use their product too often, so they may not notice some bugs. And team is too busy to see. Everyone is having their own responsibilities, and they don't pay attention to the whole picture. So there may be no one who is using a product and analyzing it. So it may be you who comes and helps the company to see the right picture. So what you look there for is angry clients. If you notice some kind of bad reviews, you need to get in touch with those people and have an interview with them and figure out why are you angry. You need to look for experience gaps. For example, you notice that, all right, there is a sign up process, and after sign up there is no onboarding, and you just go straight into the project, and customers just don't understand what is happening there. It's a clear experience gap. You need to note it down. And you also need to look for low standards. If you notice that there is no code review process in a team, for example, or the support is not following any kind of structure for applying to customers, that's just a low standards. And as a fractional CTO, you are aware of high standards. So you note all the things down. And then you move to the next stage of observing things. So you join internal meetings. And your goal here is to figure out why things are in the way they are. Because every process, every small thing exists for a reason. So you need to figure out what reason. What causes you to not have daily stand-up? What caused you to use time trackers, maybe? Maybe you had some kind of bad experience with past freelancers. Like, figure out the reasons, ask questions. And another thing you need to apply is understanding that there is no universal experts. When you join the company, you need to understand that there is no super mind who made everything for a reason. It got developed from bottom up, like things just evolved, and no one knows exactly why. So you need to come and kind of become that universal expert. Don't be afraid of challenging things and challenging the way things are right now. And then you need to look for this thing. This is a really trend nowadays, especially in Gen Z, unfortunately, to do quiet quitting, to just pretend to work, try new AI things, and trying to not be fired. And then they just work maybe for a few hours a day, and then they just chill, or maybe they work for multiple companies at the same time. That's just a frequent problem I wanted to visualize, and you need to look for that. And most important, you need to look for that not only in developers, not only in designers or project management. You need to look for that in company owners as well, because company owner and what he does impacts everyone else. So as like a first thing, you try to evaluate him, and then you look at other team members. And your objective here is to identify why quitting, like who is not performing well or who is cheating on a job. Then you figure out origins, like why this is happening. Maybe we don't have enough control, maybe we have bad culture, maybe CEO is giving bad example, like who knows. And then you talk life. with those people, because very often corporate setting is very dry and people don't talk to each other in terms of like how is your family, how is your dog, like things like that. And very often this may be a reason of quiet quitting. This may be a reason of bad behavior. So if you do that, you may dive much deeper than someone else dived, and very often it can solve a problem. Then you resolve conflicts. So this is conflicts usually start to become visible when you talk live with people, because when you talk only job, they've been like, all right, project is going well, we are doing estimates, we are like completing our sprints on 80% all the time. But when you start talking live, they start saying, well, I'm actually quite tired, I haven't get like a vacation for a while, and I also think that like my salary isn't that great, and I know that some other team members have really high salary. So that's where conflicts appear. The only way to discover conflicts is to talk live. Really important point. Um, and here you just need to understand that employees are humans. They're gonna have human problems. They cannot perform as machines. They're gonna be tired. They're gonna be jealous. They're gonna be irrational on a lot of things. So you need to be aware of that. And then again about system design, that performance of system is defined by the weakest node. So even if there is 9 members in a team that are players, they are amazing, and there is one member who is a B player and who is quite quitting and who is underperforming, it will like reduce performance of the whole system drastically. So your goal would need to be to resolve this conflict, to do something with it. Maybe you may need to fire that person and hire someone new, or maybe you just need to talk to them and try to solve these conflicts, try to give them some time to become better. Most important is to make them aware that there is something not right, and give them a second chance. Always give a second chance. Um, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I think like I cannot fire everyone, but then I've been like, can I? Um, and here is a problem. You can fire everyone, but in 90% of cases it will not help, because we talk about systems again. If your system performs bad, it doesn't mean that the whole system is bad. It means that there is some node, some small aspect of the system that is causing all system to underperform. And if you fire everyone, you will hire someone new and your problem will come back. So you fire bad employees, and then there is again new bad employees, and there will be a circle of infinite firing and hiring every 6 months, because you trying to solve problem, but because you don't think systematically, because you think that those people are bad. It's not system is bad, and you really need to you be cautious to that. Don't fire too quickly. And then you need to transform a team. So most important thing to understand here is that culture is a thing. Um, I know this kind of vague. I know a lot of developers don't pursue culture as a thing. They think it's something, I don't know, for CEOs, just do something, I don't know, some voodoo things with that. Culture is a thing, and the way you establish it, the way your system will perform. I will not dive too deep into culture. That's like a topic for a separate meetup, I guess. And a process is a key to high standards. So if you want to establish some kind of like the high standards, you need to teach people how to do that. You cannot just tell, just do it good. You need to set a process that would put a control on this standard. So if you want to improve control of quality of our code, we may need to establish process of code reviews, of daily stand-ups, of meetups, of something that can help to set high standards. Your objective here is to set standards themselves. You need to make team aware that we are doing things on a world's level. You need to propose new processes, and you need to run the show. You cannot rely on someone else to just listen to what you say. You need to show kind of by example. You need to organize maybe a meetup on how to use an AI, or something like that. And then the last step is you develop leaders because you cannot stay with company forever. And improvement, it's a process. And if you don't establish this process in a company will revert back and everything will be bad again. Every employee will be bad again in 6 months, and we again would need to fire everyone. So we need to figure out what's wrong with our process, what's wrong with our culture, find people who can be responsible for each, and make them aware that they are responsible for each. They need to run retrospectives. They need to organize one-on-ones with team members, and they need to be rewarded for this. And they need to continue work that you started. So fractional CTO. Your objective here is to identify up layers and work with them very closely. Like you need to let them know that you want them to be a leader and grow them. You need to set growth plans to the team. Like if you identified some leader, you can say, hey, I want you to be a leader. I know you are not at that level right now, but maybe in 6 months, if you will read this book, if you will follow our growth plan, you will become one, and your salary will grow, your responsibilities will grow, and you generally become more successful in your career. And retrospectives are really important because that's what you would need to do as a fractional CTO when you join. You would need to come to every member and talk what's like, how is your life going, how is project going, and when you leave, this shouldn't stop. So you need to establish process of retrospective on a continuous basis. All right, we did it really quickly. I have just lost two sections, which uh, just a few words about health check. This is a process how I often get new clients, and we also will talk about getting new clients. So if you have any questions, ask. If no, we move forward. All right, we move forward. Okay, I heard something.
I have. So, uh, question number one, it's in the situation when team have to stop um, scaling the product or implementing new features and start refactoring. Normally, it's what management don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And what's your how you convince how you convince higher ups that that's the point when we should prioritize, make things more efficient, clean up, and only then scale up.
Um,
Do you
Usually,
have particular speech or
yeah, there is a chart I always show them. Hold on, let me find it. I think it's called Clean Code Dev Speed chart, something like that. Oh, here we are. So I show them this chart, and I say that, all right, guys. So we are somewhere here right now. Like things are not that bad in our code base, but if we spend a few more months in the same direction, we may end up at this point where there be no way back, where we would need to either throw a bunch of code which we write right now, which will be a vested effort, or we would need to spend 2 times longer refactoring than we would need to do it right now. And the longer we postpone it, the worse it will be, and the longer every bug fix and every feature would take. And this chart is like from Clean Code book. I show them like the author. I show them like this is like a reputable source. And very often they would feel you, because if there is really a problem in tech, they would feel that initially things have been fast, but then with time they started to slow down, and it always happens. And if you just show them that, like if you just highlight it, like, guys, have you noticed that recently every feature started to be developed little slower? So, and you show them we are here, very soon it will be much worse, so we need to take a break, and then new feature will again be taking less time.
I have one more question.
Okay.
just we saw you have the point that just you talk to people, you're trying to understand them on personal level, but there is any kind of in a teams where you have more, let's say, democratic environment without time trackers, just like regular, just like pingings from higher ups to down. Um, how you identify quiet quitting?
Um,
Suppose how you spot these people? Because what I noticed, some people are so good in it, and
yeah.
the people who best in it, it's not Gen Z. Sometimes it's people of my age and maybe even older, and they have crazy skill. Yeah, so just like you have, I don't know, your methodology, how you do that.
So I generally against like a time tracker as well. I think that's like a culture thing. I think culture is really important, and when you use time tracker, especially in startup environments, that's kind of like you don't show trust to your employees. Um, so I'd want to not use it. And without it, it's really challenging to notice it. I had personally a few cases where we had a new guy, we like hired him, and for a few weeks there was some other guy working instead of him. Um, we figured it out after because of meetings with him. Our team, um, our project, like team leader, had meetings with him every week, and he just noticed that he's not too aware of a project, and like that was our like a red flag for that. Um, but yeah, it's it's really hard. I don't think I have like specific things on how to do it. Just you know, having a conversation and trying to maybe talk about some of the features which have been done recently, and trying to figure out how deeply he is into like understanding what he did himself. Like that's how you can notice if someone else is working instead of him, because then he won't be able to explain it too deeply. But if the person is really good and they're just working on multiple companies, I don't know, I may need to think about it.
Well, the problem is not if they're working for multiple companies as soon as they deliver what they have. It's just like, but
uh,
sometimes you see just like, oh, something wrong is here, and I assume it's this guy, but he is just like, everything is explained until you probably just like can notice like obvious lie when, for example, person tell what they did yesterday, and you see commit, and you understand it's way different from what he said. Just
yeah, yeah. I so
kind of shit.
I usually try to make team more involved. For example, in one of the previous teams in a scrimmage, we had a Discord server, and we've been usually online in a Discord server. So when I work, I have like my own room. I like sit there, and we kind of simulate an office environment. Um, and the reason for that is not to, like to track you, but rather to improve communication. Because if I want to talk to you, like let's say I have like maybe 1 hour of free time a day, and I want to talk to you, if I need to text you and then you need to see it and like reply to me, like that's quite a long process. That's a barrier for it. And I want to make team more connected one to each other. So that's why I advise that, hey guys, let's just be in our own, co-working rooms. And when you just want to talk, you jump to a co-working room and you talk to that person. Usually, quite quitters or people who like work for multiple companies, they will start get nervous at this point, or they may push you back, and at this point they would either stop doing that, or they will continue working on multiple companies but not for too long, because you would be like, that would be very destructive. Like when someone can come to your co-working room and just talk with you at a random point of time, you may, and you work on something else, it's like very hard to like switch
So this,
what you work on.
okay. Thank you so much. Maybe somebody else.
All right, then we move forward. So health check is it's a practice I do with every team. So when I join a team, I have more of a Gordon Ramsay kind of style, and I have like notes of like what needs to be into every team. Like it's usually related to these 5 things. So it's like code best practices, architectural best practices, project management, product management, and HR. So I just have like a list of points, a list of specific things, like what are the best practices for each of them. Um, I very often like before, so it's usually a meeting. So we organize a meeting with a team where we discuss all of these points. But before that, I go to the code, I go to the Jira, I go to like talk with people, and I note down every beautiful moment I have. Like I look through code, there is something bad, and like beautiful moment. Let's note it down. Let's note it down. And then when you are done, you organize a health check poker. It's similar to planning poker. If you know what I'm talking about, it's when you estimate how long some task will take. You sometimes go with a team on a meeting, and everyone like says how long it will take, and then you decide together how long it would take. So that's similar. We go through a health check document just to show you it's here. So it consists of like those blocks. For example, for development, I have just like a one name description and then a little description of what this point means. So I have coding best practices here. I have architectural best practices here, project management best practices here, product management best practices, and HR best practices. So when I join a company, there is always some gaps in one of these points, and that becomes my first responsibility. I can easily like say to like management, like, hey guys, here are like best practices, and we are missing out on a few things, so let's like try to solve it. Um, when you organize this meeting, not everyone is going to be aware of what the things are, so you need to be really cautious and explain what every point is and give some examples. Then every member is making a vote, without showing it, and then at one point you like reveal all the votes and you discuss it to come up with one score from 1 to 10. So there is around 150 points, and you need to rate each of them from 1 to 10, and at the end you will have like first of all a health check score, total one, and also for every point and for every department you will have a separate score. At these meetings are usually hard because teams are not accustomed on having this kind of format, and very often I feel like a Ramsey just like slapping someone and being like, bro, like what are you saying, like can you maybe, I don't know, bro is just saying 8 to everything, and when I ask him like can you explain, he just like, I don't know, that's okay. So that's happened all the time, and I have a few cheat sheets like how you can avoid it. I will not dive into them, but I will share presentation with you later so that you can go through them. If you will want to organize a health check, just follow this and your meeting will be okay. There is just a few practices on like what to do if team is not up to doing that. Like they are not much into meetings, let's say. And let's move to last part. I figured this like what a lot of people wanted to see. So how would you get clients? Um, very often you people hire you when it's already too late. So when everything is in fire, they decide to hire like a fractional CTO. But your goal is to spot it up front. Like when everything is in fire, they will find you. You just need to have some kind of profile in LinkedIn, in Upwork. They will search themselves for fractional CTO and they will send you a message. That's usually when it's already too late. Um, what you can do up front is to identify whom you can contact in order to prevent that. So I usually have four main types of clients or people I get introduction from. So for example, first one is angel investor who is investing in early stage startups. So this person is not my client exactly, but this is a person I'm connected to. I speak to him from time to time, and he's investing in companies from time to time. And in one of his companies, he may notice that things are going bad, and he will know whom to contact. He will contact me and connect me with a founder, and founder cannot say no because, well, his investor is suggesting him some contact. So having like a group of angel investors you are connected to will give you an infinite amount of early stage startups, because every early stage startups needs you. But you, unless there is really experienced CTO. And that's a second point. So non-technical CEOs of startups that have newbie CTOs or no CTOs at all. There is a lot of startups that funded by two people. First one is product manager, and second is a domain expert, or maybe it's a designer and a domain expert, or maybe that's a business person and a domain expert. And they often think that we can just hire an agency and they will build us a code and it will well, and that's how we can become a startup. Very often that's not how it works. So you may search for such teams on LinkedIn or on Crunchbase. Like there is a search for, like you may need to dive into every company separately. But if you notice that company LinkedIn, they don't have a CTO in their employee profiles, that's your target audience. You write them and you've been like, I notice you don't have a CTO. I wonder whom you are partnering with for software development. I helped a few other founders to avoid like a lot of mistakes. For example, here is like one of the mistakes which they've been making by working with like agency. So maybe I can help you. Let's just talk. It's free. Let's just have a conversation. A third kind of companies in a non-technical CEO of a business who wants to build technical product. That's like a few clients I work with. So they usually have decent revenue, like 1 million IRR or even more, but their business is not primarily tech. So they don't build a tech product. They may be a blogging company, a consulting company, like they maybe sell something, some kind of products, and they want to build their own platform for selling. They want to build maybe a marketplace. They want to build, get their business to the next stage. All the time they don't have CTO because they grew this business themselves and they haven't been technical. They are just a business that does well what they do. You can identify them as well upfront if you see that if you just see business that you are interested in. For example, a school. Let's say it's a school that is growing really fast, and you open their website and you see that they're using this Teachable to make courses. You may contact them and say, hey, I see you using Teachable, and I see you are also growing fast. You have a lot of employees. Didn't you think about building your own coursing platform for courses? Or maybe there is some kind of a blogging platform that grows fast. You can contact them as well and say, I see you are using WordPress. Didn't you think about making your own platform to make it more customizable? Because I bet you are overgrowing WordPress already. And fourth one is consultant who is helping businesses to grow their revenue. Those are again guys who will not hire you directly, but those are people you need to be connected with. Maybe you heard about company Accenture. So they work with a lot of consultants like that, that just like a fractional CTOs, kind of fractional consultants who join your company, do some kind of framework to identify gaps and help you grow your revenue. So very often a solution they give would be that you need to make your tech better or you need to create a new product. And if they can recommend you as an expert, that's great because you again will get a warm introduction. So important thing to remember here, warm introduction is not like a lock or something you get just from your relatives. This is like a thing you need to really like generate strategically. Like you need to connect to people with no expectation of them hiring you, and just help them for free. Like I talk to consultants sometimes, and we just like friends. We like go on parties sometimes, we attend some meetups together. Same with angel investors. And when it comes to CEOs, you can look very intentionally for them. You can try to identify this repetitive pattern, these two type of clients, and you can look for them. And if you just try, you will find a lot of companies that are like this. And yeah, just don't be like this, because as a fractional CTO, you don't usually submit a resume. That's like a specific of a job, because you need to have high agency, and company expects you to have high agency. They expect you to come with solutions. If you just say, hey, I have 6 years of development experience, I think I can really help you to make your team better, and you like submit projects you've been working with, there is a really low chance they hire you. You need to be a little bit more specific, because checks are high. Not everyone is ready to pay you like $100 per hour plus. Like that's not what startup founders are accustomed to. So you need to show them what you really are about, and very often you need to show it upfront. Like you may need to do a little bit of a free work for some company. For example, you really like need to look for clients, so you come to some company and being like, hey, I have this health check framework I've been developing, and I wanna just health check your company. It's totally free. It will take me like a few hours of your time, a few hours of time of your employees, and at the end we're gonna have like a report that shows how healthy is your company and if you follow best practices. It will take you again maybe 3 to 5 hours for a company to do that. And during the health check, you're gonna find so many things, so many pain points that management will not be able to say, you know. And then you just say, all right, I charge this amount and I think we can solve all of these problems, and they will tell you yes. Just make sure upfront that they have budget, because if you contact a founder who is self-funding and he doesn't have any employees, well, that's just wrong client. So you need to look for someone who is like having some kind of budget. Practicality, when you submit your Upwork proposals, let's say, I love Upwork. I found all of my clients on most of them on Upwork. And when I sometimes I hire on Upwork, and when I look at proposals, it's always the same. It's always AI generated, like, hey, I understand your problems. I understand you need to build this platform for connecting wallets. I worked with these projects. Here are a list of my projects. I'm really excited to work with you. This is not whatever, like that's 95% of proposals like that. What you need to do instead is to not take it by volume. You need to find a few clients that you're really interested in, and you need to do a research, really deep research on how you can help them. For example, someone like startup wants to build an MVP for I don't know, an NFT marketplace. So instead of just describing, here I am, my years of experience, I understand your problem, you research a few services, a few libraries that can help them to accomplish what they want to accomplish. For example, you can, in proposal, you can say, hey, so I see you're a startup, so it means you want to like build an MVP. I've worked with a few of such, and I have, I think you really should try using Aussie, for example, to save a week of development time on authorization. Or, hey, I think you should try using one signal to not write messaging infrastructure from scratch, and you will save 2 weeks of development time on this. Or, hey, there is this open source project that is doing that is like NFT marketplace. So instead of writing everything from scratch, maybe we can take this repository and build on top of it and save us a few weeks of development time. Or, hey, there is this a library for 3D animation, and this is really a trend right now. So if we use this library, we're going to create a cool 3D animations for your Web3 projects really quickly. So give them value in your proposal. Don't just sell. Be practical. That's my strategy, and it worked really great. You would need to spend a little bit of more time on every proposal. You would not be able to copy paste it, but your reply percentage will be high because of it, because no one else is doing this. And very often when you compete with others on Upwork, they are non-technical. There is some kind of sales managers who like write those proposals, and they are just not capable of doing what you can do as a fractional CTO. For you, suggesting some kind of library or some kind of open source project, then just like this. You may need to spend more time first 5-10 times, but then you will already have like in your mind like a list of things you can suggest, and then it's just like this. And Rex, of course, if someone recommended you, like advisor recommended you, angel investor recommended you, or if you have some kind of portfolio of recommendations, that's always great. So if you upfront can ask your past clients to write you public recommendations, that will always help and help you establish like trust with clients. Let me. Okay. I will keep, so this is like a task which you commonly do as a fractional CTO. I will skip this one because we're getting late. These are things that you can proactively propose your client to do. So when you write to someone on LinkedIn, for example, you can suggest them one of these six things. One of them is that, hey, there is a new tech like AI. I think you can integrate it into your company and grow the revenue. Second one is integration, like, hey, there is this SaaS product that solves your problem. So maybe instead of writing it yourself, you can integrate with them. Third one is a risk, like, hey, I noticed you use a library or a framework that is getting deprecated. You should change it. Fourth one is opportunity, is like, hey, I noticed you write blogs to I don't know, for cooking. Didn't you think about creating your blogging platform? Fifth one is improvement. So, hey, I noticed your support is taking too long to reply. Maybe you use AI to reply immediately and help, to close more customers straight away. And last one is efficiency. So again, it can be like speed of replying of support, or it can be like, hey, I notice your site is loading too slow. Maybe we can make it better. So things like that. There is a lot of like touch points or hooks you can send to your clients to initiate the conversation. Last one is learning to be a fractional CTO. There is just a few last slides where I wanted to share what I do. So I'm a fractional CTO, but also I build my learning platform. When you will start like researching on like how to be fractional CTO, there is not that much resources in the internet. This is like very niche things, very niche profession, I would say. And on my platform, I have a roadmap which I developed together with AI that covers, I know you don't see anything, but there is like a lot of things. It covers everything which we discussed in this presentation and even more, of like all the details that you need to know to be fractional, like to be ideal fractional CTO. So if you're just starting and want to be like better, want to feel more confident, just go to that roadmap, check what is there, check what you need to know, and maybe you just notice that, hey, I know all of these, but I miss on this. I'm not sure like how to manage my like finances as a fractional CTO. So you can learn only that thing, but you can like see the whole picture of what you need to learn completely. Also on the platform, you can receive daily resources. So that's what I do all the time. I like watch videos about being fractional CTO, new tech, etc. So there you can receive daily resources like books, applications, some kind of practical projects, lectures about being fractional CTO. You can also get some certifications, find tutors, courses, peers, etc. And last thing, I wanted to do a study group organized by me for being fractional CTO. So it's really important to have like a network of people you talk with about technical problems you experience. I already have a few people I talk with on like a weekly basis. And if you wanna like become fractional CTO, or if you're already one and you just wanna join a group to discuss your problems, I'm hosting a study group. So feel free to join. Once in a few weeks, we will be organizing such kind of meetups and share experience. Sometimes it will be me organizing, sometimes maybe one of you will be organizing it. But point is that we will be becoming better together, and so, it's always nice to have a good network. Maybe we can even suggest clients each other, etc. Yeah, and we will also help to make each other a little bit more motivated, because I know a lot of people who wants to be fractional CTOs, but that require a lot of studying. So in a study groups, we have this thing called streaks, and in study groups we have a general streak that is defined by the lowest streak of a study group member. So if you study 7 days a week and I study 7 days a week, and some guy comes and he misses a day, our whole streak is going to be reset to 0. So we're gonna be very angry, and you're gonna be very uncomfortable missing a day of learning. So if you really want to learn consistently every day, it's kind of a nice thing to support this one thing. Yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. If you want to learn a little bit about more or connect with me somewhere on like LinkedIn, I don't know, Threads, I have a few social medias. I have a website. You can find my social medias there, and also check out my current product, Self Degree, if you wanna like learn something new. It's a self-learning platform. So yeah,